Hi, thanks for watching. In this video, I'm going to show how Google ranks your website in the search results and how you can take advantage of that to drive some more traffic to the site and calls to your business by getting it listed on the first page. So for comparison, what I've done is taken your website as well as the top listings in two different search areas. I checked in Allentown and also in Easton, and I put them all into this tool that I use, and it shows me all the information that Google finds on your site and then rates its strength and trust on a scale of 1 to 100. So as you can see just from some of the numbers, why a lot of these sites are outranking yours, but let me go into a little bit of detail on what these numbers mean and then how you can improve them. So when Google is determining how to rank a website, it's going to use two factors. The first is what's called the authority or trust that it has in your site, which is basically just a popularity contest. Now, this authority is gained by what are called referring websites that create links back to yours, and they act as an endorsement that Google uses to build trust because others are vouching for you. So just to quickly define these, if the local news station did an article on their website for the top 10 best roofing contractors in Allentown, and in that article, the reader could click on a link and it would bring them to your website. That would be considered one backlink from one referring domain. Now, there's a lot of different types of websites that can link back to yours, including blogs, any kind of posting sites, press releases, any kind of manufacturers that you deal with that mention you. But one very important type is what's called a citation. Now, a citation is any time that your name, address, or phone number is listed in an online directory. Now, these directories, like I've one pulled up here, Easy Local, Yelp, Yellow Pages, Better Business Bureau, they're usually all free. It just takes time to find them, register your business, and then input all the information exactly as it's shown in Google. Now, as you can see, just from the sheer numbers of referring domains and websites that have coming back to these sites, this is why Google is finding a little bit more trust and authority and recommending them over yours in search results. But just something to note here is it's not just a matter of the quantity of these links, it's the quality as well that matters. So they need to be relative to your industry and from sites that Google trusts, otherwise they won't add any kind of authority. Now, the second factor for ranking the website is based on the content on the page. So if we look here at your keywords, these are all the words and phrases that are being typed into Google that's finding on your website, as well as the volume, the number of times per month they're being searched. So this is where we just do some research to find all the highest volume keywords relative to the services that you offer and the areas you offer them in, and make sure that those are being included on your website. Now, for instance, here we have roofing Allentown, PA. That's being searched 200 times per month. If you were on the first page of Google, right now you're in the 23rd position, which is going to put you either the bottom of the second or at 10 listings per page, it'll actually put you at the top of the third page. If you were on the first page, 200 people a month will be searching this and seeing your website. Now, we're usually pretty conservative, and we estimate only about 10% of those will actually convert into a lead and contact your business. And then I don't know what the conversion rate is, but let's be even more conservative and say only, say, a quarter of those actually become customers and get a job done. You could be looking at upwards of 5 jobs per month just off this one keyword. Now, obviously, all the profit margins vary based on the jobs, but you can see how the number of leads can add up to some revenue at the end of the month and at the end of the year. And then we just repeat that process for all the highest volume keywords, making sure that those are included on your site. Now, there is a formula that Google uses to find these keywords on your site. So if we take a look at it here, the site layout is great. We've got all the information the customers can want. Everything drops down. Everything's click to call and ready to go. So that way it's in mobile. It's optimized for mobile format. As far as Google is concerned, however, it doesn't really care too much about the content. As far as the layout, it's just going to come in and count all the words on the page. It's generally looking for a minimum of about 1,500 to 2,000 words because it assumes that the more information you have on the page, the more of an expert you are, and then the more likely it is to recommend you. Now, while it's counting the words, it's also searching for those keywords. So any kind of service that you offer and then the areas that you offer it in. Now, this is where the number of words on the page really comes into play because you're only allowed to have one of those keywords for every 100 to 150 words of text on the page. So the more keywords that you want to be found for, the more content that needs to be added to the page itself. Now, as we take a look at the searches, the first thing that pops up is the Google Map Pack. So this is a pretty important area to try to get into. If you have If you haven't already, you can optimize this right through your smartphone. It's through the Google Maps app currently. You just want to fill out the profile as much as possible. Be sure to fill out all the fields like the services you offer, the areas, even the hours of operation. Then you want to be adding geotagged photos within your service area as well as posts onto the profile as often as you can. Also try to get as many customer reviews, and then you want to get as many of those citations, the name, address, and phone number. You want to be listed in more directories than anybody else on this list, and that'll start pushing you to the top. Now underneath that, this is what we call the organic search results. This is where the more authority or trust that Google has in your site, the higher up on the list that you're going to rank. So this is where if you start getting more of those links from websites referring back to yours, you can start adding authority and trust in the eyes of Google, and it'll start increasing your ranking to get you higher up on the list. So you'll be more likely for customers to click on it. Now, what I can say is I also looked into solar, and I have a few companies that I deal with locally around me, and it's the same issue here as it kind of is everywhere. There are some national companies that all they do is just make a back page for different areas around the country, even though they're not located there, and they tend to push a lot of power since their entire website spans nationwide. They do have a lot of referring domains, but you don't have to compete with all of them. We just have to compete with the ones that are concentrating just on this area for that one back page. So it gets a little bit more complicated in the solar arena just because there's so many national players in it, but it's the same principles apply, just as getting all the right referring domains and backlinks from local partners and relative backlinks, and we can easily overpower their local sites because Google does have a tendency, it does like to push actual local businesses that have a presence in the local market above companies that just have a back page here. So I do hope that that helps and it allows you to scale some of your online presence, but please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or if you'd like me to go in any further details. Also, we could talk about some of your goals as a business, and I could do some research on my end to find out what it would take exactly for you guys to reach those. And also, I always appreciate getting feedback as well, just to find out if information like this was useful. So please do let me know what you thought. Thanks, and I hope this helps.